things, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, Sultan.
Yeah, Southern's here. It says Southern's Otter.ai.
Yeah, he's probably recording it.
Yeah. All right, I see.
Hey, bro.
Hey, yo, Southern.
Yo.
I thought he was just gonna put the Otter AI here and then not come.
I didn't realize that was. Oh, okay, what the hell? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so what were you saying, Sonny? You didn't change it much because you were using arrows.
Oh, shit. No, I wasn't using arrows before, right?
Mhm.
So this is like, I don't know if you can see this. Maybe I'll turn the light on.
Okay.
So, can you see this? Oh no.
Yeah, I basically can. Yeah. Yep.
Shit. There's like a reflection in it.
No, I could see it though. Yeah. So it looks like there's basically just like one main topic and four chunks.
I don't know. I'm not sure about these chunks. In the first pass, these are the chunks I created, right?
Yeah.
And the thing I've added now, after like exploring some more diseases in detail, is like, you see this little thing, like
Disease
like,
and damage.
So the arrows going off it, so it's like blood flow up or down, right?
Yeah.
Increased glutamate, increased NMDA. Right. Basically, like there's certain diseases which cause like increase or decrease in blood flow, but the common, I guess, theme is in terms of how they like cause damage from like a mechanistic point of view, is like they increase glutamate, right?
Wait. Before that, so you decided that what is it? The blood flow is important in your context because it's one of those factors that are good to know when you're considering diseases and damage.
Okay, so diseases or brain damage, right, can cause so as in okay, so there's diseases which is caused by like bacteria or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or some sort of toxin or some sort of actual disease, right? But then there's actual like head trauma, right? You know, or different types of trauma, right? To the brain, like physically, right?
Yep.
So what the commonality is right, is so diseases, right? Not in all cases, right? But in some cases they can cause like an increased blood flow, right?
Yeah.
That's a particular disease, cerebral hematoma, I think, right? No, cerebral. Shit, I forget what, right? But then cerebral. I forget the other term.
Okay, no, that's cool. Well. No, but like the reason I asked was because that diseases. Oh, are you saying you're not sure if that diseases should be a main chunk anymore?
No, I'm like with this blood flow thing. It's referencing to like a few diseases, right? Like 2-3 diseases, right? Or 2-3 conditions, right? I wouldn't say it characterizes all types of diseases.
No, that's fine. It doesn't have to. But is it important because it fits under? It's relevant to diseases. Then it's cool.
Yeah.
And same with blood flow, right? So blood flow or whatever else you had underneath diseases.
So there's disease and damage, right? Right?
Yep.
So how you separate that as disease is sort of like something which occurs from some malfunction, right? And damage is something which is like physical.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right? Like they're both bad, so it makes sense. It's just both bad things that can happen to the brain. If you're talking about the brain,
how they mechanistically appear. Yeah. In some it's blood flow, but in some it's like brain inflammation. So it's you know, so yeah.
I see.
They're still sort of figuring out how to categorize that exactly.
Okay, but then how did you come up? How did you like? What's the process you used to come up with like that makes sense for that to be a thing, disease / damage?
So like,
was there a process?
the whole topic is called brain damage.
Yep.
Right. Brain damage and neuroplasticity.
Yep.
Right. So honestly, I don't think it was the best sort of first pass, right? But after going through the topic, I was like, okay. So the main thing that's important is diseases and damage, right? Okay. And what diseases and damage cause is neural degeneration, right? You know, that's the next sort of main chunk, right? And so because there's neural degeneration, there needs to be neural regeneration to repair that, right? And after neural regeneration, there's some neural like reorganization, which is sort of.
Are you reading off your mind map at the moment?
Yeah.
Oh, just chuck us a photo on WhatsApp or something of it. Then we can see it.
I'll take a picture of it when I find it. Sent it.
Okay. To the random study sesh. To the random study sesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Oh, sick. Okay. So. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. That's cool. So, what was your process again? Did you have keywords?
So now I'm going off like, okay, so ignore those little blood flow things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So in the first pass, all I had was this stuff.
Yeah, but like what like how I'm asking, how did you come up with that stuff? Like, did you have a list of keywords?
So I had the list of keywords.
Yep.
Right? I went through them.
Yep.
Right? And that's what I sort of got as like the answers.
To why is this or that important? It ended up being like, oh, okay, it's important because it does this or that it's related to the diseases or the damages. And then you went through more, then you're like, okay, this keyword is important because it's to do with neural regeneration or degeneration. That makes sense, right? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Okay, now I reckon like whether or not it's completely like accurate for the final version, it sounds like the right process. Yeah. So those keywords those keywords aren't here, but then this was generated using the keywords more or less.
Well, I guess
because normally the keywords wouldn't be there because you're like, oh, why is like this important? Okay, well, it's important for another reason, and that reason that keeps coming up that ends up as the main chunks.
Well, okay, so neural degeneration, neural regeneration,
Yeah.
neural reorganization. There was distinct chunks, like there was distinct keywords. There was distinct headings for them at the end, right? Towards the end, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of going through the keywords, those were the answers to a lot of them.
Okay, good.
That
good.
come up to me.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Good. Yeah, because like in theory, the ones that actually come up as answers, they're good candidates to make your chunks. But the ones that are presented in the textbook as headings, they might not have been chunked optimally. So you don't put them there just because they're headings in your textbook, or it seems like the person chunked it that way. They're meant to arise as answers in that process of you like asking yourself why it's important, or asking internet why it's important. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, that looks cool then. Or seems good. And then?
So then I've just gone to the second pass, right?
Yep.
And I've been through maybe about 6-7 keywords, right?
Wait, interesting. Wait. So you're on the second pass, but where are the... Okay, no, I reckon before you go to your second pass, I would, and if you just had this, I would say, where are the keywords that I don't see any of the keywords at all.
What do you mean?
That because these are the reasons of importance, right? But then like say like there would have been more keywords that now you can fit under those chunks. But
So I should be fitting those keywords under those chunks.
perhaps, yep. And that's one thing. And I'm not sure if you've considered the relationships between those chunks. Because if you considered it and they actually don't relate to each other, there's no problem. If they're actually quite sort of independent. But then, is there a relationship between diseases and damage and neural degeneration and regeneration? Or something it says on the left, which is neural regeneration. Oh, there's regeneration. Oh, there's reorganization and regeneration, degeneration. Like, it's not clear. It looks like you haven't considered it, or you considered it and they don't relate to each other at all.
Well, to me, it's like a left to right sort of thing. So I meant right to left, like a clockwise sort of thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Disease and damage lead to degeneration, and then you need regeneration, and after that there's reorganization. Okay, you did that intentionally, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
it's
okay.
a clockwise sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you're saying that I can put the keywords, like under the headings, like
you can, but you don't list them there. Like you don't suddenly switch to now we're doing linear notes again. You would then you might just put it there, or you might just say, okay, that's a branch of it, and especially when it's like the first one, then you would sort of just put it there. You would just do a little stem coming off, or you might just put it there, or you might wait until there's one or two that come under that heading, and then from there you're asking yourself, how are they related? Are they like related at all, or are they just two stems, or do they fit under another heading? Because then you have another little sub chunk under which those two live. So you do want to include them, unless they're genuinely really details, unless they're like dates or just like figures and stuff. If they're sort of like, unless they're really, really memorization heavy stuff, you do want to start seeing where they fit and then how they relate to other keywords that fit under the same guy. Because then you zoom in to one heading, then that's like its own little world with interactions and arrows. Then you could keep zooming into it. So now you see like you did it correctly, how it's like the highest level. Because if those, and it looks legit, like if you literally considered it, like the reason I thought you didn't consider it is because there's no arrows, but that's fine. Like I would normally just draw arrows, one leading to another, but so this block leads to that. And then you might want to consider, for the sake of it, is that the only relationship? Or does like diseases, does it only just lead to neurodegeneration, or does it have something to do with, no, it doesn't seem like it. It seems logical the way you did it. But like, because sometimes there's two chunks and only when they combine, they lead to another chunk in some topics. But yeah.
Well, I guess neural degeneration and neural regeneration are sort of combined, right? In a way.
Yep.
To lead to, and then neural reorganization and neural regeneration are combined in a way, sort of.
Okay, so neural degenerate. Yeah, so you want to consider that relationship. Like, so diseases and damage lead to degeneration, and then does degeneration only then lead to regeneration? Yeah.
Not in all cases, but like that's sort of what.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. And then, so it is quite linear, which is fine. Does degeneration not directly relate to reorganization? It has to pass through regeneration first.
Yeah.
Okay. Sick. And then, and it stops at reorganization. Like I assume it doesn't lead to more damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Sick.
So you're saying okay, I get the other keywords, write them below and sort of figure out the relationships between those keywords.
Yeah, no, so like, as in, so what would happen is, wait, do you want to show us the list of keywords then? Is it on paper or on your screen?
It's on computer, I can share my screen.
Yeah.
So of the first pass or the second
pass? Yeah, the first pass. Because this is a result basically of the first pass, yeah?
Okay. I'm just going to share my screen. do I share screen?
Um,
Present now?
yeah. Yep. So what it seems like so far is that seems like it's the correct first step of the first pass. But because I only see those main chunks, I don't see anything underneath it. It seems like the first pass isn't finished.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't know the rules.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. See if it works.
I mean, if you have the list, you can just paste it in the chat if it's easier,
I'll just.
or paste
I
it
can
on
take a
WhatsApp.
picture. I can take a picture of the list.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have WhatsApp and thing. Okay, I sent it.
Cool. So, oh yeah, sick. Okay, sick. Okay, so let's say you went through brain tumors. Why are they important? You would have said they're important because they're an example or they're a type of disease or damage to the brain.
Yeah.
Okay, sick. So let's say I was doing that, and this is how I'm imagining the right way to do it. It sort of does go in that chunk, but then like you wouldn't write it right away just because of cognitive load, or maybe there will be a few more keywords that come up that go under that, and then you can consider them both together. So then that's probably, you said diseases or damage. Then you go to strokes. Is that sort of under diseases or damages as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you would say, or ask Google, how do brain tumors relate to strokes? Is there a relationship at all? And do you know? And did you ask that?
Yeah, I did ask that.
Okay, and what's the answer?
Well, they're both types of brain damage.
Okay,
Right?
yeah.
Well, they're both types of diseases, right? And they
Okay.
both cause brain damage. But mechanistically, strokes is more about, I guess, obstructing
Yep,
blood flow.
yep,
Right?
yep,
And there's like less blood flow to the brain, which causes like cell death and stuff, right?
Yep,
Whereas
yep.
tumor
Yep.
is like an actual mass which is multiplying
okay.
and destroying cells and destroying
Okay.
pathways, I guess.
So they're both diseases or damage, etc., or roughly. And you also said that one is more to do with blood flow, whereas the other is more like a physical mass. That characterizes it, at least like very grossly. Like, and it doesn't have to be full scientific because like you start off like very high level and conceptual. So like at that stage, and it seems like it's still in your head, so you might not need to write it down, but like it doesn't seem like they're like the same family. They're still under diseases or damage, but then like, so you would think, or I would think that maybe eventually you might just have one very grossly as mass related or more physical, and one's more blood flow, especially, and those might be two things coming out of diseases or damage. But then since like it's not too complex, I'd keep going to see what else happens, and I would ask ChatGPT as well. Yeah. So then you got infections of the brain. Okay, I assume that's also a disease or causing brain damage too. And then how does that relate to those three? How does that relate to the two things you've considered so far? Did you consider that?
So infections,
and more importantly, not what an infection is, like the relationship first. Like, does it relate to the? How does it relate to the traumatic brain? No, how does it relate to the strokes and the tumors?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a disease. It, depending on the type of infection, right? It can impact certain brain functions, right? They can impact blood flow, right? But they also mainly cause like cell death or inflammation. So there's three different things an infection can do. But I'd say mainly it causes cell death, and mainly causes inflammation, depending on if it's a bacterial infection or a viral infection.
Okay. So does it seem like they affect strokes and tumors very much, or only in small edge cases? Is it, or does it deserve to sort of not be linked?
They're not related.
Not
They're
really.
not related.
Okay. So far, those three things that fit under diseases and what do you call it? Damages. They're sort of separate, are they? Sort of. Like, it doesn't have to be like 100% correct, but like, does it make sense to sort of say, okay, they're the ones that are sort of massy, the ones that are blood flow related, and then
Yeah.
you're saying infections may have an effect on blood flow, but basically we should consider it separately anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you keep going, and then you know how like we haven't seen a proper relationship between them, but the asking of it is like sort of really important to facilitate the learning. So as a like your notes, like I might not ask it, and I might just draw the three stems coming off. But if you ask it, and then you conclude that we should have three stems because there's not such a great relationship, then you're probably learning, whereas I'm just sort of writing things down. So it's
Well, I'd say how it relates is even though how the damage or what causes, well, like what like the grosser mechanism is, right? Is different, right? So like blood flow could be inflammation, could be cell death. They're all disrupting neurotransmitter processes.
all of what?
Right.
All the types of infections, or all those three types of diseases?
All those three are disrupting neural communication and that's happening because they're disrupting neurotransmitter function.
All three diseases, or all three types of infections?
All three diseases.
Oh, okay. All three diseases, they're disrupting the neurotransmitter function?
Okay, they're disrupting like communication between neurons, which is like the main thing, right? And that's being done because neurotransmitter function is being disrupted.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. That might be a way to group them. So then you keep going, and then you say there are three types of infections, which are cool. But then that's going a bit into details, but then that's good to know as well.
Two types.
Oh, two types. Okay. And then let's do a few more and then try to write it down, because then it's getting tiring. Yeah. So then like genetic factors. Oh, no, sorry, neurotoxins.
So
Is that why is that important? Which one does it come under?
I guess disease.
Oh, okay, yep.
Right? And damage.
Okay, yep.
And neurotoxins are basically something which attacks the brain from the outside, right? So some toxic substance, right?
I see. So it's actually not an example of a disease or damage, but it is under that thing. But it's not an example of one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And they can be caused by infections.
It can be caused by. Oh, so neurotoxins can be caused by infections.
Not all the time,
it
but
can
some
be.
infections can make neurotoxic. Some infections are caused by neurotoxic compounds.
Okay.
Right.
So some infections are caused by neurotoxic compounds. So they can cause infections. Do they relate to the tumors, strokes, brain injuries?
No.
No? Oh, okay. So do the neurotoxins just mainly relate to infections and other stuff?
Yeah.
Or what's the other stuff?
I'd say the other stuff is like it's something which is ingested, some substance which is just toxic to the brain, right? And they damage the brain in different ways.
Ah, I see. So it relates to damage in general, but out of the ones we said, maybe just infections. Okay. Oh, okay, I see. Then at that stage, because I would be getting tired, you might have to regroup it later. But an easy way to thing it, in my opinion at least, is I would say neurotoxins may be a cause. Yeah, and the others maybe just be examples, or you had a better way of grouping it before. Like you said, there was a commonality between them, but then so out of diseases and damages, I would just go. There's a cause now that we've identified, and then I'll put neurotoxins under that. That's how I would do it.
So you point an arrow from neurotoxins.
Not necessarily in. Sorry.
So you point it out, like you'd write causes, like is that what you would do?
Yeah, I would just do like a little, just like a line coming out of diseases and damage, and then I would do causes in smaller font, just to show that it's not a main font. It should be pretty clear. A main chunk should be pretty clear. So then now out of diseases and damages, you can talk about the potential causes, one of which is neurotoxins.
So I write neurotoxins under causes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it's the first one we've seen, and it's time to write it down, I think, because we've been thinking quite a bit, and it's getting sort of tiring with the cognitive load. And then, did you have a better way to group the other three as opposed to just saying examples? Otherwise, you could just write examples.
I'd say it would be, so it's tumors, strokes, and infections, right? So tumors would be mass related.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Strokes would be
the blood flow, wasn't it?
I mean, better way might be okay. So they could all come under cell death, actually.
Okay.
They all cause cell death.
Yep.
Right? And I mean, infections would be distinctly blood flow related. Oh no, not infections, I mean stroke.
Yeah, let's just do that for now. So then maybe you have a few examples. Did you say they all cause cell death?
Yeah.
Okay. Then then for now you could put one just like cell death. You could
put an arrow coming out which says cell death.
Yeah, just a line coming out saying, because normally the arrows represent cause and effect. So maybe not an arrow, but yeah, and this is quite rough at the moment. I'd have cell death or examples and in brackets cell death, because we haven't really got other examples that aren't cell death related, but when they do, you would probably have to come back and just adjust it a bit, which is the right thing to do. So
okay, so I write under cell death, I'd write tumors.
Yeah, and then yeah, you'd write tumors, strokes, and maybe infections, and then and because yeah. And what was the one that was related to flow? Strokes. Okay. I mean,
could I write an arrow from strokes connecting up to that blood flow thing?
Where was blood flow again?
It's like
the thing you already have. The thing you already have.
Yeah.
Let's see how you get to that first. Let's imagine that's not there. Yeah. Let's see where that came from on this keyword thing. Yeah. So then, yeah. So you have causes, of which you only know one. You have a few examples, and maybe they're so far they're cell death examples, and one of them relates to flow, but it relates to flow somehow. Which we haven't got to yet. And then then let's go to the next one. Genetic factors. Does that seem like another cause? Or what's that? Yeah. So sometimes it's like really clear where it goes into. So yeah, genetic factors. Is that you could still ask, or if it's clear, you just like you could ask and you say, oh, is that an example of brain damage? No, it's a disease. No, and cause I've been considering. Yes, that sounds like another cause. So you could chuck it there immediately, and you could also ask how do they relate to neurotoxins. Well, and for the sake of asking to help you learn it, or maybe because it'll help you modify it a tiny bit, like you scribble it out a bit and figure out a better way to put it. So you might ask, how do genetic factors relate to neurotoxins? Or how do they relate to each other? Or what are the differences? Yeah. And if you know, you know, or you look in your resources, but you know, right?
They don't.
They don't. Is there a difference? Why don't they relate?
So I guess genetic factors can cause a disease, right? Which causes damage, right?
Yep, that's a cause. But how does it relate to the... So what's different about the neurotoxins that are different to the genetic factors?
So
How would you
genetic
explain it
factors.
to someone? Yeah.
Okay, so genetic factors are explaining the mechanism of what causes a disease. So yeah, in a way, genetic factors can cause a disease, but it's more by the genetic factors cause the disease to happen.
Yep.
And the neurotoxins directly cause damage.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so neurotoxins don't cause a disease.
Neurotoxins can come from an infection. They can come from a disease.
That's complicated. Okay.
So is the neurotoxin thing, like, would that be like a bidirectional arrow with infection? Like it could cause an infection, or it could be caused by. I mean, it could be a byproduct of a different infection.
See, I don't know. I don't know if a neurotoxin can cause an infection, but I know an infection can cause a neurotoxin, and I know neurotoxins directly can cause damage. So I wouldn't be able to say that.
And just one other thing, that disease and damage chunk, is that bidirectional too? Do diseases cause damage and damage just cause disease, or is it normally one thing?
Disease can cause damage.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But damage can't really cause disease.
And then that might be a reason to reconsider that chunk. And have the causes we've been talking about, have they been causes of both, or just causes of one or the other?
They're just causes of disease.
Okay, then that might make sense. You might want to figure out, at that stage, what a better parent heading for diseases and damages are. Because they seem like they're related, but now the things we're putting in them, it's confusing. Because then it's going to be causes, and I would look at it later, or you would look at it later, then forget which is which. It should be very clear. So in my head, I would just say diseases and damages in general, like, how do you group them? I don't know. Like, they're just bad things that can happen to you, right? Yeah. So if I was lazy, or I'd just write just bad things and change it later. And then from there, split diseases and damages. And then, like you just said, diseases cause damage. So there's an arrow going from diseases to damage. Yeah. So you got bad things, or whatever better heading. Now that chunk becomes bad things, then there's two types of bad things, diseases and damage. Diseases cause damage. And then put the causes of diseases under diseases. Not under diseases / damage. Then it becomes a bit...
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, I was also thinking, is another way you could group the, like Nick, like when Nick asked about the difference between neurotoxins and genetic factors, is one way you could separate them, like endogenous versus exogenous.
That's what I was thinking too. One is just like, normally when they say genetics, you just can't change it, right? Or it's internal, or it's just who you are kind of thing. Then you got external or environmental stuff. Or what Sudan said.
So, yeah, I guess so, possibly, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if neurotoxin could be a weird one, because like yeah, because I guess because you said that it could. Did you say it could come from an infection?
So this is the thing. When I'm talking about, sorry, I'm just confused. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
when I'm talking about genetic factors, right? Um, so that causes like other genetic diseases, right? Which aren't tumors, strokes, or infections, right?
Right.
The actual functional abnormalities in the brain caused by the genetic changes and are
Yeah.
specific diseases like Alzheimer's, um, Huntington's disease, epilepsy, right?
Yeah.
So genetic factors doesn't relate to tumor, strokes, or infections, right? I don't know. I'm confused right now.
Oh, okay. The genetic factors don't relate to those examples.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. But then they're causes of just like those brain diseases in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there? I see. I see. That's interesting. So, are
Or
those?
you,
Yeah.
oh, it's not sorry. Go on. No, sorry.
No, I'm just wondering, like, if it doesn't, then yeah, you need a neat way of putting it. Otherwise, you will assume that by looking at your mind map. So you got examples. I'm just going to put 3 examples, and then were there examples later that the genetic factors caused, or not really? They're like out of scope.
What do you mean? Like,
So, do you know the example? Do you know what genetic factors cause? The disease?
yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, just not those ones. Okay. Um.
So
Then
what
what does it
about
cause? What type of diseases does it cause?
Epilepsy, Huntington's.
Okay.
Let's see on the list.
I see.
Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's.
are these all autoimmune? Like, can you classify them as like yeah, like basically like the body acting on itself, and then the others are kind of yeah, like some external uh cause, and then like neurotoxin is a bit of a weird one. Like it could like maybe it could be both in the sense that it could be or maybe it's just external.
I mean,
I don't know, like,
autoimmune is a specific thing. Like multiple sclerosis would go under autoimmune. It's like the body attacking itself, right?
right.
But then Huntington's, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, right? It wouldn't be exactly mechanistically the body attacking itself. Like autoimmune,
Right.
like goes under a disease is classified under that because of how it works, like by its mechanism, right? Whereas those other diseases, they're like something which causes like a deficiency, right, or excess in a certain protein, which leads to damage.
Yeah. In that case, if you're not sure or we're not sure, I would actually put 2 things coming out of diseases, causes and examples. So it depends. It depends what's more important to you. Do you want to? Are the diseases important because of their causes, or the causes important because of the diseases? And it's like a subjective question in general. Like say like, for a doctor, someone comes to them with like symptoms, and then based on the symptoms, they should diagnose it, right? So for them, the symptoms are more important. Like you need to know the symptoms. Then you're like, it could be this, it could be that, but like they shouldn't be remembering the diseases and then all the symptoms. It doesn't make sense for the way they're going to be using it. So the way you're going to be using it is how you're going to be tested, basically. But if you're not sure, I'd group it into both. So I'd have one which is causes as the big chunk, and then I'd have the causes, like you have neurotoxin or genetic or whatever the causes are. Group them however you like, that makes sense. Then underneath them, then you specify the diseases as the details. But then you have another thing where you like the examples of the diseases. Then you have the diseases, try to group them. Then under that, then you put the causes as the details. It's just 2 different ways of grouping it.
So you're saying have causes as a separate, distinct
under disease.
Under disease, okay.
Yeah. Because they're still causes of diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And you have examples under diseases. and then flesh those out first, and don't worry too much about, oh, these causes don't necessarily affect those diseases. You worry about that when you go deeper into the mind map and go into the details. You can specify that. Yeah. Anyway, so, but yeah, it looks like, say like 3 or 4, say like 5 more keywords down. You're still talking about types of diseases. So you do that same thing, and you end up with a bad things chunk that's more fleshed out. So then when we look at it, you could sort of see some relationships in grouping and evaluation, and it looks like you've done the first pass. Then it will look good. And then you keep going, and then if it's very messy, you clean it up, because then you look at your map and be like, nah, there's an arrow crossing over that arrow, and that's no good. Then rearrange that chunk so it doesn't have to cross over. Then it looks clean. Or these 2 things are here, but actually, they're both genetic factors, let's say. Then you put it under one. And these 3 are like exogenous or whatever. Then you could group it there. Then you clean it up. And then you feel like you haven't studied the topic enough still. Then that's when you collect the new keywords and do your second pass and keep putting onto this new mind map. Keep asking the questions, and hopefully they do fit under these main chunks you have, because those are the ones you identified, even on your second pass. Then your mind map gets more developed and a bit more messy, and then too messy, and then you clean it up.
Can you show us like your initial mind map to something?
Yeah.
Right? And then show how it's been cleaned up?
I can try. Yep. Let's go on. Sorry.
Like a picture of mind map you have. Like,
Yeah. Let me just
on like a pretty complex topic. I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I can do this one. Come here. We can do share my screen. Start broadcasts. And then we can go into here. I'll just show you what's open right now, then I'll jump over to something. That's my mind map right now. And it looks pretty bad.
Can you zoom in?
Sure. But this is a bad example. Let's go... this ain't a good example, but... Yeah, let's go here. Let's go to a Rails app. That's my main heading, and that's obvious because I need to make an app. This is for the calm thing. And then I've been looking at heaps of keywords and stuff, and a lot of it relates to theory, actually. And then for me, it makes sense to categorize it because this is what I need to know in my head to be able to work this thing. But then a lot of the things relate to a procedure, and that's like the orders I'll take when I start coding. So the information might overlap, but I should know them separately. One's just to know what to do, and the other one's what I should know and what I should build, just like the functions of the app and what I need to cover. But when it comes time to like sitting down and coding it, I need to know the procedural stuff. So one's I create the app, then the gems, do the database migrations, then I start writing the tests, and I create different things, and then these are the different things I create, the model, controller, the view, for example, in that order. That's the procedure. But then here, I've also covered model, controller, view, but it's a bit different. It's for a different reason. It's for the theory and understanding all the interaction and stuff. But this is a bit messy. Like, basically, I just started it yesterday. But if we go to YPass, which is what I was doing for work, where is it? You can see once it loads, I think this is the evolution of it. And this I would consider it's complex, but it's quite clean. Like, don't worry about the mess at the top, everything below the mess.
What is the like main nodes though?
Yeah, so it's because it's messy. It's the YPass network.
That's the main chunk, yeah.
Backend. And the project. That's all. And then there's meant to be a heading here, which I don't have. Yeah, that's why.
Okay, but there's no connections between the things in each separate nodes.
You mean the separate chunks?
So from the wirepass heading, right?
Yep.
Like the stuff there doesn't connect to stuff in the backend stuff.
Not really, and it might sometimes, but it shouldn't too much if you did the technique correctly. Because I went through a keyword, it's important because it's in wirepass network. I went through another one, it's important because it's in wirepass network. They're so important because they fit under that, so they're mainly related to that. And then and then I ask other keywords and they relate to backend. And so it's important to have a clean mind map for it to sometimes, if you're really desperate, there are one or two things. But if it's going all over the place, it's like a sign that someone didn't apply the technique correctly. They definitely grouped it according to a certain criteria, but not by importance, asking the importance reasons. Because if it's so important, they'd be interacting closer together, not far apart.
How do you get your writing so small? Like, is that like because of your stylus or like?
No, I zoom in.
Like heaps.
Yeah, heaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you use stylus or not?
Yeah, of course. I use stylus. Yeah, Apple Pencil.
Which stylus do you have? Because I have this one and it's like pretty shit.
Yeah, I think Apple Pencil is like meant to be one of the best.
Can you use it on Samsung?
No. You can't even use this on the new iPad. You need to buy a new pencil.
Rip off.
Yeah, but this is what I consider a neat one, and it's not even that neat yet. But it's just like, I'll show you where it's been. It's been here, for example. Look at that, and that's extreme. You shouldn't really. It's been there, and it got consolidated to what you saw before. Where if I try to teach you this or try to remember this, I don't know what's happening at all. But I sort of do know what's happening if it's like a day or two after I've done it, because I'm doing it very quickly, and then while I'm adding something to a chunk, I'll just draw an arrow and do it here for now. I'll just do it here, but I know it lives there, and I'm gonna clean it up 2 days later. I'm not gonna spend time being artistic and spacing it out because it's gonna take too long. So say like if I was redoing this and I did something and it came under components, right? There's not much, and I know it needs to sit between these two guys because it relates to default components and custom components. I'm gonna shove it there somehow. Like I'm gonna try shove it there somehow, but I know I have to go back and clean it because it's not sustainable. Otherwise, and I already drew that the way it is because I didn't know there was gonna be something between it, so it's gonna inevitably get messy. Yeah, but it's been there. It's been here previously. It got cleaned up once, then I had to add more stuff to it. So it got cleaned up like once, and then it became that. Then I had to clean it up again with more information. So it just goes through cycles. And I've done like maybe 10 passes or something because I keep giving me more stuff on the same topic. Let's see. Yeah, it was clean back here.
So when you're going through a second pass, you reference the previous mind map and you start a new mind map, or you build.
What I generally do, which it's just a habit, is I will go to this mind map and I will I'll copy the whole thing and I'll paste it down beneath it. Then I start working off that, just in case I want to go back to what I started off. So
you start again, but you have it as a reference.
No. Say like no. Like, say this is my mind map. You go there. Okay. So say I did this. This is my first pass, and it's time today to start working my second pass. I just grab that.
Yeah.
And then I copy it, and I drag it down. And then I tool them. Then I just start working. So then if I stuff up, and it never happens in practice. But then it's just a mental security thing. I always have the original version. But then because I might think, what if I like mess this up and draw all over it, and then I stuff it up. But then the old one's still there. Yeah.
So you work on the second one.
I work on the second one, and generally I don't go back to the first one. Generally I work on the second one, then it's good. Then now it's time to clean it up, and it looks clean and nice again.
So when you have to pay for the copy paste feature?
I assume so. I don't know. I just paid for it.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. I actually, at one point, I saw I needed some functions, so I just paid for it. Yeah. Yeah, but that's an example of like a pretty hectic one. I mean, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Got random stuff everywhere.
Okay, but I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so I misinterpreted how to do the whole thing.
Yeah. The arrows are important because they're used to show relationships. So you see, yeah. You need, yeah. And then you can see how it's inevitable that you're going to have to clean it up because you're going to have to put stuff somewhere because of cognitive load, and you're not sure about the spacing because you haven't done all the keywords or fully considered it. So there's going to be things that get shoved in here or there, or that need to be here, but you didn't allocate enough space all the time. Yeah.
So when you're like, when how are you doing these things? Like, how much are you waiting before you work on like the intricacies of the words in terms of cognitive load? Like because you've got like a lot of different words and processes there, right? You know, um, so like when do you actually start writing them down? Like
When I get too tired, just like how we were doing just then. We
when
are,
you can't fit it in your brain anymore.
yeah, or it's a bit like too much. It's a bit too uncomfortable, or a bit seeps. It's not like really really uncomfortable, but it's more like, oh man, I feel a bit tired. Shouldn't we just write it down and then now we can forget about it and keep doing more keywords? But if you do it too soon, then you won't remember any of it because um, part of it is the cognitive load, but a part of it I just realized I think recently is that like remember how the retrieval thing's important. So if you actually in the
Mm,
process of studying it, not even wait to revision, you do it a bit, and then you're like, okay, so what was that thing again? Okay, there was diseases and there's the causes and the examples, but then you waited a bit, then you're already retrieving that and there, so you're using a very good principle. But you write it down right away, then not really. No cognitive load
mm,
and no retrieval because it's too fresh and it's too soon.
right.
Yeah, but
Honestly,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and in this specific mind map, these none of these are details. So they seem like they're little things, but then most of the things I've written here, they're all quite logical. Actually, you can see them relating to each other. There's there's like arrows and stuff, and the stuff that needs to be details, I've done separately. Yeah, and works a bit different. Like you're not required to memorize that much anyway, because you can always look at your notes or Google stuff.
Would you do this for like? Because I find a lot of my things are, at least in the subjects for this semester, are like just memorizing different models
Yeah,
of like just memorizing different like theories.
yeah.
So they feel like they're kind of like standalone. And I just have to
Yeah,
memorize like
but like so the theory. So you're saying they're standalone in the sense that theories themselves might not relate to each other as much, right?
yeah
But then are there like similarities between them or reason like why is it like is a theory? It's fair enough either way, but is a theory just
yeah
important because it's important, or is it important because it has some other significance? Like, because then maybe another theory is important because it for the same reason,
yeah
but it might
okay
not be.
yeah. As you said that, I guess I could like highlight the differences or the growth over time of like
Yeah,
of yeah something
and it
or um
which subjects are this to them?
uh I'm thinking like so one's cognitive processes and one's like child and adolescent psychology. So there's like a few like there's like attachment theory and there's a few different theories in both but like in the cognitive ones like it's kind of there's sort of like there's like one topic like attention and then there's like a few like a two theories in the 50s and then there's like two theories in the 70s and then like
yeah, yeah.
like one theory in like 2000s or whatever and you can see the kind of the evolution but so I guess that's one way I could do it
Yeah, if that's why
um
you think it's important, maybe by time or maybe by, like, I mean, it depends on how you're going to get tested or why you think it's actually important.
right
Yeah, because
yeah
maybe the way they test it is, and probably not, but then they'll be like, so what are the ones from the 19th century, or like for some reason they
right
think that's important, or how about just the ones developed by Australians, kind of thing. Like, there's so many ways to
yeah
group it, but it just depends how you're going to use
yeah
it.
yeah honestly I don't even know why like that's the thing is that kind of I mean like obviously the most recent one is relevant because like that's what we're using
Yeah,
now is
yeah,
like that's what people are
yeah,
going that's
yeah,
what's relevant now but
yeah.
um the rest kind of feels pretty dry like it's
Okay,
just kind of like I have to know this for the test kind of thing
right. You could ask ChatGPT how they relate and how to group it. See if there's anything interesting coming
mm,
up. Are there
mm,
many theories
yeah
though? Because if there's like 15 theories, there's a problem. You're sort of forced to have to group it. But there's only four theories. Then it's like okay. Then hopefully within
yeah
each
well
theory, there's a logic within it that where you can apply the technique.
yeah yeah
Yeah,
I think yeah honestly like I guess that there is enough logic within so yeah it kind of ends up being like every 2 weeks there's like three theories. You know,
Yeah,
three.
yeah. Yeah.
And then and then they switch topics, and then there's another three theories. But there's one that's actually relevant to
Yeah.
now, but then they want you to know the history
Right. Or there's like these are the theories for just
of
kids,
evolution.
or just for adults, kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, in the cognitive processes one, it's more like it's more differentiated by like like regular people, or like typical, like neurotypical people, and then people with like brain, like with diseases, or like some kind of head trauma or whatever.
Yep. So then there's a few theories for each of those categories, or you're saying?
Uh, there's so usually they use like the like patients with some significant trauma as like as examples that uh, highlight like one aspect of like attention or something, like they highlight, like it's usually used as like a case study to highlight
Yeah.
a detail of attention and like one aspect of a theory, and then
Right.
so it ends up being like a very small like it would be a small, like for example, like patient KF is like, that would be just like a very small note at the very bottom of like attention, like the whole attention field, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like three line.
And is that the name of the theory?
No, that's the name of a case study.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the case studies are important because they support a theory, or they demonstrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's clear why the case studies are important.
The call's
yeah.
gonna end in 4 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Should wrap it there anyway.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, see what happens. But that was a quite interesting mind map, I think, Sesh.
Yeah.
Because I think we're like, yeah, it was actually getting somewhere, actually. And you do that, then you do another pass, and you keep cleaning it up.
Mm.
So I'm gonna do. Sorry, go on. Sonny.
No. I was just gonna say that was good for me to just to like see people like think, like how you guys think it through, like thinking out loud. The whole process of like just how things are related. I think I wasn't doing that enough between the in between concepts. I was trying to get the why is this important, but then didn't do the between relationships enough. But yeah, that was good.
I'm gonna do. So what I'll do is I'll do a mind, like I'll copy paste and I'll do like a first pass again.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess it's a second pass now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But of the same keywords.
Okay. Yep.
Right. Like like the ones that I got in the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll send it in the chat.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. See what happens.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
That's good.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, see you guys later.
Gotcha.
See ya. Thank you.
All good. Bye.
Bye.